Welcome to the very, very first game of the Starcross Cup. This one's going to be Team Slayerz, in all caps, with spaces between the words, just as Lemon always does. Lemon and Disillusion versus Team Yoloswag420blazeit 420, Natural and Beamer. Natural and Beamer apparently did not get first pick because, of course, their preferred faction, or first faction pick, because their preferred faction is WS Forces, if I'm not mistaken, but it looks like they're going this game with double over Commando West, so I suspect that Lemon and Disillusion picked the map, but I could be mistaken. I would have to double check the bracket to see, and we will see that Disillusion is moving his rear echelon troops. We actually have Disillusion and Lemon playing as mixed allies, whereas Beamer and Natural are playing as double over Commando West. Disillusion moving rear echelon troops straight here towards the cemetery, with combat engineers moving up to support as well. We do have conscripts from Lemon heading for the cutoff here in the north. If we take a look at Disillusion, we will see double rifleman start, Lemon going with triple conscript start. In fact, he has not even purchased a tech structure yet, interestingly enough. And Natural going with a double Volksgrenadier start, nothing too surprising there. Sending Stern Pioneers straight for the fuel, Volksgrenadiers up to back cap. So not a particularly hard push for the middle here from the Axis players. They're actually spreading themselves out rather thin, and I suspect they may have some difficulty in the initial engagements. We will see a Kuba wagon hitting the field from Beamer. Neither SWS half-track being moved up to support. So we won't be seeing a particularly aggressive medic HQ here in the village, and I'm actually a strong supporter of keeping your trucks further back on this map, at least against Soviets, because so many times I see those trucks get destroyed by artillery and other very powerful Soviet indirect fire. Volksgrenadiers and Kuba wagon forcing back Lemon's combat engineers here, and the victory point will go to the Axis. Meanwhile, we have these conscripts holed up in the house. Unfortunately, it looks like Natural has positioned himself extremely poorly, taking fire from both the south and east sides, and the east side does have 4 windows, so 5 out of these 6 conscripts are able to fire on him, and that's causing him to take very heavy damage on that squad. He does have more Volksgrenadiers moving up to assist, though. Should be able to force those conscripts out of the house, but more conscripts move up, forcing those Volksgrenadiers to reposition. Squad in the house does make a retreat. Ooh, Stern Pioneers are actually getting inside. They're going to be very vulnerable in there. They're so close to dead, I wouldn't be surprised if those conscripts managed to force them away. That being said, they're falling quite low, getting focused down, and he is going to be forced to retreat. Stern Pioneers take no further casualties, so that definitely did go in Natural's favor. Meanwhile, down here, Stern Pioneers in this house are doing a good job keeping Disillusion at bay. Possibly forcing a retreat here from that squad. Yes, there he goes. Another squad moving up here. Still no backcapping done down here in the south, though, so it would be good to see that. Some Volksgrenadiers kind of sitting idle here. Actually have a pretty big force by Lemon making a counterattack here for the north fuel, and I'm not sure if Natural's going to be able to hold it. He doesn't have any suppressing fire or anything like that. He has gone with the Jagdtiger doctrine, breakthrough tactics. And Beamer does not have a doctrine selection just yet. Lemon has chosen interesting counterattack tactics. Definitely very potent on this map. The B4 can probably reach just about anywhere, even from the base sector. And Disillusion has chosen airborne, so not a huge surprise there. Let's see if he's able to make good use of it. He has purchased his lieutenant already, and we will not see a utility card yet, possibly. He does have the resources for it, so maybe he's thinking about getting something else. But we'll see what he chooses to do. It looks like the south fuel has fallen to Disillusion, and meanwhile the north fuel has fallen to Lemon, so the allies are doing very well for map control. Beamer and Natural sort of hold up here in the village, trying to hold on to this house. Volksgrenadiers are going to get killed on the retreat there. Ooh. and they go down. And there they go. Looks like the Soviets have just overwhelmed, or not the Soviets, but the Allies have just overwhelmed Natural and Beamer here. They are going to be forced to retreat and regroup and think about how best to approach this situation. It looks like we actually have double battle group headquarters from them. I think that may have been a mistake. It's very important on this map to get your Stuka out, I think, as quickly as possible. The Stuka is very good on this map because of the sort of urban and linear nature of the village. Kuba wagon moving up. Riflemen will get forced from the house. As Double Over Commando West, they of course don't have access to flamethrowers, so it can actually be somewhat difficult to unseat a well-defended building without, like I said before, access to the Stuka, which they will not have. And I'm not sure I know what their plan's gonna be to retake the city here. But I guess we'll find out. Utility car moving up to shoot at that Kuba wagon. The Overcrano players seem like they're really not quite ready for it. There is a heavily wounded Panzerschreck squad, but that's not going to be nearly enough to keep it back. We will see that armored skirts are cooking here. Meanwhile, we do have a push from Natural up here in the north to try to retake this strategic point, and he is in the retreat path of those conscripts with some Stern Pioneers, and if Lemon doesn't notice, he could lose that squad, but there he goes, making a hasty retreat. Utility car still hasn't really taken any damage, and it looks like the push in the center has been forced back. We will see Beamer going with a Schwer Panzer HQ here. If we take a look at his resources, he really doesn't have enough for looks or any vehicles for that matter, but he is going to start cranking out Obersoldaten, and hopefully that will give him a little bit of extra punch. He needed to deal with some of these swarms of Allied infantry. We will also notice that Beamer has successfully taken the North Fuel, and Natural's Stern Pioneers are going to slow the clock down, as well as plant some mines here. Disillusion taking the south munitions point with the crew of his utility car. Looks like he's actually satisfied just to decap it, and he's going to be moving back towards the center engagement here. Shock troops getting focused down big time by a huge wave of Volksgrenadiers and Panzer Fusiliers. They do toss a grenade, doing a little bit of damage, but nothing too catastrophic. The Overcommando Blob continues to make a push for the city here. Volksgrenadiers look like they jumped out of the circle to take cover. Stern Pioneers trying to retake some territory up here, so map control actually starting to go back towards the Overcommando West a little bit. There are two Panzerschrecks here in the center. Grenade going out into the building, but it doesn't do all that much. So one Panzerschreck forced to retreat, the other one misses due to terrain variations. And it looks like that engagement in the middle is going to go to the Allies once again, since the Overcommando West just don't have a vehicle solution for that M20 right now. We had no Puma, we had certainly not enough map control or fuel to go for looks. And at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, it's quite late to be getting a counter to the utility car, and but it's really no surprise when you go double battle group headquarters. It really just leaves you with no solution to the Allied light vehicles for quite some time. And it's much more likely to work, I think, against Soviets than against Americans, because Americans have much more powerful light vehicles and much earlier light vehicles than the Soviets do. If you don't count the MA-31 Scout, of course. So after that series of engagements, it looks like map control is going to heavily go toward the Allies once again, with Lemon retaking the fuel up here. We will note Natural Sphere HQ has been set up to protect their strategic point over here. Makes a lot more sense on Samosky Summer. This point's really not all that valuable on Samosky Winter. He could have probably just as well set it up in his base. It's a little bit exposed here. That being said, if the Allies were to mount a very big push for this structure, could set up an opportunity for the Overcommando West to push back that assault and inflict some losses, but I'm not entirely sure the Allies are going to do that. It looks like they're going to just try to continue playing for map control. They're not going to do anything like try and go for an annihilation or destroy any base structures. And certainly I think that's partially motivated by the tournament rules, which will give an advantage, a slight advantage to the player, the team rather, that has the most victory points in round 3.
Contact! Infantry attacking objectives!
Paratroopers being called in. Oh! Nice dodge. Disillusion clicked on the opposite side of that victory point, and because of how they were positioned, they split the squad in half, moving in opposite directions. And if he had reacted even a split second later, I think he would have lost that full squad. Oversoldaten moving up, trying to stop the clock here in the south. Finally, a Lux is going to hit the field. That 12-minute Lux is a little bit late because of the map control situation, but hopefully he's going to be able to make a big impact with that. It looks like the Allies are semi-prepared for it, with anti-tank grenades and, of course, this fresh AT gun. What is that utility car doing? It looks like he's actually trying to bait the Lux into the AT gun by popping smoke to obstruct its vision, but I'm not sure it's going to get away. Oh, it does get away, and the AT gun is taking shots at the Lux. And then the Lux hits an M20 anti-tank mine placed here on the road. Unbelievable that it didn't hit it earlier. So that Lux did not get to make the impact that I think Natural wanted it to have. It's quite important not to lose it so early. He wasn't even able to take out the utility car, so he didn't even get to make a trade. And even if he had, that wouldn't have been a very good trade for him. Overcommando West really struggling at this point. They have gotten some territory back here in the south, but an Allied counterattack would almost certainly be able to push that away. It's only 2 squads, one of which is quite wounded, and this building continues to be a huge nuisance for them to deal with. I really can't believe that neither of them went with a mechanized regiment headquarters. I think that was a huge strategic mistake. Shock troops moving up here, inflicting heavy losses on that Volksgrenadier squad, forcing it to retreat. It looks like the Molotov is going into that building, so it's going to be denied to these Panzer Fusiliers for a moment. Shock troops throw a grenade. Nice dodge from Natural there, inflicts almost no damage, I think. Infantry support gun firing, so at least they have some kind of indirect fire support. Has 1 kill now, but it just really doesn't have the incredible impact that a Stuka has. They're really very different units. The infantry support gun is really just meant to bleed. It's more of an economic unit for battles of attrition, whereas the Stuka just has immense firepower that could shut down an entire push like this one. But of course the Stuka has a much slower rate of fire than the infantry support gun, so they really have different roles. The Stuka also has a much higher price tag. Utility car getting a little aggressive here. Fortunately, there's only 1 Panzerschreck available, and it doesn't even fire. So they will get forced back.
This is it.
More Obersoldaten being produced, and they're just getting bullied by this utility car because they still haven't really fielded an effective solution, other than the looks, which of course got shut down pretty hard. Another thing to note is that I really think in that situation they should not have hit that mine. It's very important to purchase a minesweeper. Natural currently doesn't have the munitions because I believe he just purchased a 3rd Panzerschreck. Munitions, of course, are a little harder to come by ever since the latest hotfix that brought Oberkommando munition income down to 80% of what it used to be. But still, only 30 munitions to potentially save one of your looks, to potentially defuse a 60 munitions anti-tank mine. Even if you only defuse one mine, you've more than paid. It's more than paid for itself. So, really, as soon as you see that utility car, it's critical to purchase that minesweeper, because if you let your very first vehicle die, then it's just not going to have the impact that you need it to have to stay on the map. Sherman hitting the field, and high explosive rounds are going out, dealing heavy damage. Ooh. Nearly wiping a Stern Pioneer squad and doing good work on this Volksgrenadier squad here as well. Sherman spearheading this charge, moving up. Finally, there's a Raketmorpher on the field low, so that the American vehicles can't bully. Ooh, can't bully the Axis quite so hard. And that Sherman is forced to make a hasty retreat. Volksgrenadiers, Raketmorpher getting pulled back, and I think that infantry support gun will be fine as it makes it back to the base defenses. Meanwhile, we do have another push happening here in the middle. Nice! Panzerschreck shot goes out, finishing off that Sherman. I think those Panzer Fusiliers may have actually hit it with an anti-tank grenade. I'm not sure. It looked like it had a damaged engine there before it died, and I'm not certain how that happened. Still, with the American retreat point set up right here and massive waves of Soviet infantry charging center village, I don't think that Natural is going to be able to hold this without support from his teammate. And Beamer is busy recuperating here in the base, and he's not going to be able to hold. He's not going to be able to make it here in time to keep back this coordinated charge. But we actually have lots of great map harassment from the Oberkommando players. It's always good to see that. Ooh, B4 just fired his first shot. Fortunately, it looks like it missed. So Lemon has played his hand. They now know that they're up against counterattack tactics, and that's going to encourage the Axis players to keep that mental timer going. Try and keep a good sense of when that B4 is going to be firing, and when they think it is, try not to blob up too much. Try and reduce losses to as minimal as possible. Fortunately, they did not set up any trucks here in the village, and this would be the point in the game where they would start to regret that decision. Now that there's a B4 on the field. And Lemon, as a big Oberkommando West player, probably gets very frustrated on this map by things like heavy Soviet indirect fire. I'm sure he's lost many Oberkommando trucks in this general vicinity to that exact thing, so I can definitely understand why this game he went with the B4. Oh! That was a devastating shot, wiping one squad and nearly wiping another. These Volksgrenadiers are far too wounded to be able to stand up against those paratroopers. Ooh, cooked grenade. Takes a few losses, and that's going to force a full retreat there. The infantry support gun has 9 kills, which is possibly a little bit lackluster considering what he paid for it.
We are ready for anything. We have it. The enemy still has 300 points.
Certainly, I think a Stuka would have been better, but I'd say that ship has sailed. 3rd SWS trucks are all hitting the field now. If we take a look at big purchases, we will see a 2nd Sherman from Disillusion. Natural is actually getting a 2nd infantry support gun. It'll be his first one, but it'll be the 2nd one for their team. So that's interesting. It doesn't cost fuel, so that is one advantage. Looks like we will see no big fuel purchases from either one. The only reason that Natural's 50 fuel behind is because he went with looks. Other than that, their fuel incomes are exactly identical. And I think Beamer might be getting a Panther. I think that's what he's doing. That's probably a good idea because the first Sherman has already died, which means that, ooh, good thing that B4 shot missed. Unfortunately, that squad died on retreat, so this is going to become a double Shrek Volksgrenadier squad. Lots of Obersoldaten clumped up right there. Ooh, that was a mistake to position himself like that. Infiltration grenades going out there. So we actually have Spec Ops Doctrine chosen from Beamer, so I think I take back what I said before about his Panther. I think he's going for a Command Panther. And he'll have that in about 2 minutes. Map harassment, counter harassment happening down here in the south, and it looks like we also have a fighting position going up, although unfortunately the pathing on these rear echelon troops was terrible, and that's going to cut the build time of this fighting position in half because they decided to walk around this wall. Oh, SWS gets taken down by a Sherman. I'm not sure why he drove it up so far. That was a weird decision. The whole squad just died. I guess that was a lucky HE round, or maybe that was the B4. I'm not sure. They were there 1 second ago, and I looked away to check on the battle up here, and then the whole squad was dead. No, it definitely was not that Sherman. I think the B4 just killed them all. I guess. I'm not sure what happened there. Looks like a KV-1 is hitting the field, as well as a second Sherman, third rather, and a Jackson. So that's 3 Shermans total, as well as a Jackson now for these Over Commando players to deal with. They really have still made no vehicles of their own whatsoever. Finally, it looks like the Command Panther is going to be hitting the field, but it's a little bit late. Even a Sturm Tiger at this point, I think, could have been beneficial. That being said, it would have to be very well defended to survive a full-on assault from a KV-1, 2 Shermans, and a Jackson. We need some very nice support. Sherman moving down. Volley fire actually going out on these Obersoldaten. And they will probably get suppressed. Maybe not, they're Vet 3. They're going to make a full retreat anyway. Meanwhile, some infantry moving up over here. Allies being, once again, like I said, very cautious. They don't seem to feel any need to push beyond their current holdings. They're just going to try and run out the clock. Playing purely for victory points, good for them. Sherman being forced back by a pretty heavy. We'll remember that one squad here has 2 Panzer Shreks.
We are at 200 points.
Axis rapidly running out of time, though.
Panther command tanks have reached the front. Deploy is needed.
Finally, though, we will see the Command Panther hitting the field, and it immediately hits an M20 mine. And his Sturm Pioneers are actually dead. Natural does still have his Sturm Pioneers, so he's going to need to move that to make repairs on that immediately. We will also note that if he were to throw on a support package, it would become the best repair squad in the game. At Vet 3, its repair bonus stacked up with its support package bonus makes it repair just at an absurdly fast rate. Repairs are going to begin with the... Oh, jeez! Oh no, a devastating B4 shot hits the Command Panther. B-47 finishes it off, and we will see GG well played dropped by the losing team. So, that was quite an opening game. Levin and Disillusion just make quite an entrance into the Star-Crossed Cup here. And that's going to conclude match 1 of round 1. I hope you enjoyed it, and let's not waste any time. Let's get started with round 2. Wow!